Ladies and gentlemen, habari zenu, habari ya Jumanne. Nadhani ni wiki ambayo wengi tulikuwa tunaitazamia, especially katika hii topic ambayo tutaizungumzia leo. Karibuni tena, karibuni sana, hii ikiwa ni session ya 80 tangia tuanze of Mental Health Tuesday, where this platform we feel like is dedicated to shedding the light of important topics surrounding our mental well-being. And today we are gathering here to discuss a topic that resonates deeply with a lot of us, individually and also as a collective community. How best can we deal with family pressure? And I understand that the influence of family dynamics on our mental health can never be overestimated, because it is crucial that we navigate these pressures in a way that it fosters our overall well-being. And today we are privileged to have one and only, our esteemed expert in this field, Mr. Jermain Kashi, the Program Director of Human Development Agenda, HUDA, who shares a vast experience in this topic. And we believe that with his valuable insights and strategies, we'll be able to learn more effectively on how we can handle our family pressure. So together we are going to embark on a journey of understanding, growth and support to each other. Well, labda kwa kuanzia kabisa, Bwana Kash, naamini kabisa kwamba family inacheza jukumu kubwa sana katika maisha yetu, na nadhani ni mizizi mingi sana mirefu ambayo inatengeneza ule mfumo wa maisha yetu katika kusaidiana, lakini pia ni chanzo cha upendo na urafiki. Ila pamoja na hao yote, kuna furaha na joto ambalo familia huwa inaleta, na muda mwingine pia inaweza kuwa chanzo cha shinikizo, matarajio na mizozo ambayo inaweza kuathiri sana afya yetu ya akili. Kwa hiyo leo tunalenga kuchunguza upande tata wa uhusiano wa familia na kugundua njia ambazo tunaweza kuzishughulikia shinikizo za kifamilia kwa njia ambayo inasaidia ustawi wetu. Na tunaamini kabisa kwamba shinikizo la familia linaweza kujitokeza katika njia mbalimbali, mfano kama katika matarajio ambayo sio ya kweli, ama maadili ya jamii, tamaduni ambazo tuko nazo, uchaguzi wa kazi na hata mahusiano kibinafsi. Kwa hiyo uzoefu wa kila mtu ni wa kipekee yake katika haya mambo. Kila mmoja tajriba yake vile ambavyo anapambana nayo, na njia ambazo tunajitahidi kabisa kupambana nazo ni tofauti pia na hizi shinikizo ambazo tunazipata za kifamilia. Kwa hiyo ni muhimu kabisa kutambua kwamba shinikizo la familia halijawahi kuwa hasi kabisa kila wakati. Linaweza kuwa na nguvu ya kuchochea ukuaji wa kibinafsi na vile vile motisha. Lakini mbali na hayo, ni muhimu kupata usawa ambao unalinda utulivu wetu wa akili na kihisia. Kwa hiyo katika mazungumzo yetu leo tutachunguza mkusanyiko na mambo mengi ambayo itakuwa ni kama mikakati ya kushughulikia hizi shinikizo ambazo tunazipata za kifamilia, na vile vile je, ni namna gani tunaweza kuchangia ufanisi wa familia zetu. Kwa hiyo tutajadili umuhimu wa mawasiliano wazi, kuweka mipaka, huruma kwetu sisi wenyewe, lakini pia kujadili namna gani tunaweza kukubali ubinafsi wakati bado tunaendeleza uhusiano imara wa familia zetu. Kwa hiyo tutalenga umuhimu wa kuelewa na kutofautisha kati ya msaada wa kitaalamu ambapo utakuwa unahitajika. Kwa hiyo Bwana Kashi, leo mazungumzo yetu yatakuwa around that, na kuna maswali ambayo nitauliza yataweza kutuelekeza katika mazungumzo mazuri sana, na baadaye pia tutaruhusu wengine waweze kuchangia. Kwa hiyo karibu sana, pengine utupatie tu mwanzo wako ama ile tunaita monology, tuone itapendezaje kabla tuingilie katika mada yetu ya leo katika maswali. Kwa hiyo mtazamo wako ni upi tukianzia hapo?
Thank you so much, Nuri, asante sana. Na I'm pleased to be here again. I think tulikuwa hapa sometimes back pamoja, na kwa sababu tumepata fursa nyingine tena ya kuweza kuzungumzishana, naona ni muhimu sana kuanza kwa kujitambulisha. Mimi kama ulivyonitambulisha, majina naitwa Jermain. Kashi ndio jina langu nililopewa kutoka kwa nyanya, na mimi nafanya kazi ya kijamii ndani ya Kwale County na Pwani kwa jumla, hususan katika masuala mazima ya kutatua mizozo ikiwemo pia mizozo ya kijamii. Na nafurahi naona wengi tuko hapa ndani tungependa katika kuweza kuangalia mada yetu ya leo, na nimeona ni mada nzuri sana ambayo inaongelea kuhusu family pressures, ama ile ambayo tunaita shinikizo la kifamilia. Kwa kifupi tu, kwanza kabisa pengine katika kuweza kutengeza mada yetu ni kuwa familia ni jambo muhimu sana, na familia ni kitu ambacho hatuwezi tukakiepuka. Kila mmoja, hata yatima, ana familia. Kwa hivyo inamaanisha hakuna mwanadamu, hata mnyama, ambaye hana familia. Sote tuna familia, kuna mahali tuko connected tu. Na tukiangalia katika sosiolojia tuna ile tunaita the family system theory, ambapo the family system theory mostly inaelezea kuwa familia ni mkusanyiko wa mahusiano. It's a collection of relationships. So different relationships brought together makes a family. Hii kwa ufupi nakwambia, familia si ndugu yako tu ambaye umezaliwa naye, ama mama yako ama baba yako, hata marafiki. As long as kuna relationship ambazo zimewekwa pamoja, tayari you build a family around you. So familia kuna mtu ambaye anaweza epuka, na familia kawaida inalindwa ama iko ring fenced na some norms, rules, expectations. Kila familia ina expectations zake. Kila mahusiano yaliyoko pamoja yana expectations. Hata wanandoa wanapokuja pamoja kuwa na familia huwa wana expectations zao wameweka. So sometimes these expectations zinakuwa different na different na kulingana na watu ambao mko pamoja. Utamaduni pia unapata mara nyingi unaweza pata familia moja imeweza kuleta tamaduni tofauti, zimeweza kukutana kutengeza familia moja. So hii inakupatia taswira kuwa ndani ya familia moja utapata tofauti ya tamaduni, tofauti ya kabila, tofauti ya mawazo, tofauti ya fikra, na pia tofauti ya viwango vya elimu, na pia tofauti ya hali ya kimaisha, kifedha na kila kitu. So huu ni mgongano ambao unakuja pamoja, na mara nyingi lazima kuwe na mpangilio mzuri wa kuweza kuangalia familia, otherwise huwa ndo chanzo cha mizozo. Mizozo mingi huanzia katika family level. Hata hii mizozo tunaiona katika national level, katika ulimwengu mingi sana huanza at family level, then ikaescalate mpaka ikafika mizozo mikubwa. So pengine katika kuweza kutengeza mada yetu hiyo tu, mengine ningependa kama brief tu kidogo ya background ya nini haswa familia ni nini. Bwana Nuri.
Asante sana Bwana Kashi. Nadhani hapo nimejifunza kitu kipya sana kuhusiana na familia, kwamba inaundwa na mahusiano tofauti tofauti, ndio nakuja baadaye tunapata family. Hilo ni kubwa sana ambalo nimejifunza leo. Labda tukianzia, tunawezaje kutofautisha kati ya shinikizo la familia ambalo ni la kiafya zaidi na ambalo sio la kiafya zaidi?
Yeah, what we call family pressure, I mean it is in different categories of family pressure. And as I said, is that one family is composed of different, groups of people. And whenever there are different people involved together, definitely conflict must arise. That's very definite. So katika hali hizi pressures ambao katika familia, lazima kwanza tuanze kuziangalia, je, ni shinikizo gani ndani ya familia ambazo zinaweza kujitokeza. Then tuweze kuangalia, je, baina ya shinikizo zinaweza kujitokeza ni shinikizo zipi, ama ni pressure gani tunaweza kusema they are positive na which one are negative. Maybe just briefly to touch on some of expected family pressures ambao tunajua definitely in our society ni vitu vinafanyika, vitu vinatokea, na lazima kuna mtu mmoja kishampata. Kwa mfano mdogo tu nataka nipeane, kuna ile tunaita marital distress. Unapata katika familia, pale mwanzo nimesema familia iko na norms zake. Traditionally utapata norms ya any family expect one to get married at some point of life, either msichana ama mwanaume. Katika ukifika katika umri fulani wa maisha, wanatarajia uweze kuoa ama kuolewa. Kijana umefika miaka 30, unaenda 35, bado uko nyumbani, wazazi wanasema kaoe mwanangu, kaoe, lakini wewe umehesabia kuwa hauna. Msichana, pengine matarajio ya familia kwa yako ni kuwa ukifika average age ya 25, 28, you have to get married. Haujaolewa. Kwa sababu pia wewe una expectations zako, wewe una mipangilio yako ambayo inatofautiana na norms za family. So unapata kuna pressure from the family kuwa kaoe, lakini wewe mwenyewe una mipango uliweka katika maisha, mimi mpaka nifike ni achieve 1 2 3 ndio niweze kuoa. So okay, it depends on how you look at it. It can't be a positive pressure, again can also be a negative pressure, kwa sababu at the end of the day wewe unaesukuma ukutani kuna kile kitu tunaita acting out. Unaweza act out differently, ambayo inaweza kuwa harm again back to the family, ambayo inakupressure. Unapata tukiangalia bado chini ya katika masuala mazima ya ndoa, unapata kuna familia ambazo ina mizozo. Utapata pengine mume na mke, kuna matarajio fulani ya hali ya kimapenzi ambayo mke ama mume anatarajia kutoka kwa mwenzake ambao haipati. So kunakuwa na pressure ya kuwa yeye anatarajia wewe ufikishe kiwango fulani cha kimapenzi ambapo mmoja hawezi fikisha kiwango kile. So unapata there's a pressure ambayo if it's not managed, ama kama haiwezi kuwa discussed, ama kama haiwezi kuwa resolved, it can lead probably to mental health issues, it can lead to depression and all that. Hiyo ni katika hali nzima tukiangalia katika masuala ya ile setup ya kindoa. Wengine unapata katika jamii zetu, it's very common, unapata mama amesema Nuri lazima umuoe Fatuma, lakini Nuri una mipango ya kwako mwenyewe, lakini mama anataka umuoe Fatuma. Kwa sababu gani? Anakwambia hii familia ndo nzuri, ina heshima, tuna respect familia, kwa hivyo ni lazima uwe katika familia, wakati wewe mwenyewe una mipango yako tofauti na matarajio ya familia. Definitely italeta pressure katika family, but again it can be a positive pressure, kwa sababu wanataka uoe katika familia ya Mwachausa. Kwa sababu gani? Wanajua hii familia ina discipline, hii familia ni familia ambayo inashika dini, kwa hivyo ukioa katika familia hii, basi wewe kijana wetu utakuwa umeoa mahali pazuri. Wakati Nuri, wewe mipango yako ni tofauti completely na matarajio ya nini, ya familia. Again brings pressure katika familia. Hiyo ni setup tu moja tunaangalia katika hiyo in terms of katika masuala mazima ya ndoa. Unapata pressure zingine katika kifamilia zinaletwa na masuala mazima ya hali za kiuchumi, ama ile tunaita financial challenges ama unemployment. Utapata aidha mume ndani ya nyumba, kwa sababu katika pia familia zetu za Kiafrika tunaamini mwanamume ndiye atakayelisha familia. Hiyo ni imani imejengwa, ni setup katika familia zetu za Kiafrika. So the moment mwanamume has provide for the family, it becomes a pressure from the other parties. The whole family will be against the man. Kwa sababu gani? Hawezi provide familia. Hata kama mama ana kazi nzuri namna gani, anaingiza pesa namna gani, lakini katika setup, katika norms za Kiafrika, basi mwanamume hata kama huna kazi, they expect you to provide for the family. Again, it becomes a problem, it becomes pressure kwa huyu mwanamume, na ikiwa haitakuwa resolved, at the end of the day unapata ndo mtu kama huyu commit suicide, ameweza to develop into depression, because unapata ile pressure haikuwa resolved, haikuwa identified na haikutafutiwa suluhu. Unapata pia kuna pressure ambazo unazipata katika familia ambapo zinaangaziwa masuala mazima ya, let's say, academic performance. Wewe umeenda shule, umepelekwa shule na wazazi na mjomba na nani na familia, wewe ndio ukasome. Wana expectations zao ambazo wanataka wewe uweze kuzipata kule shuleni, vis-a-vis your expectations. So how tayari wameweka expectations zao kwa ukienda shule, unaporudi lazima upate C+. Wewe huwezi pata C+, wewe umezoea kucheza kwenye D minus hapo. So unapata there's a pressure from the family expecting you to perform better on what they call good performance in school, vis-a-vis your expectation, vis-a-vis your efforts. So again it brings more pressure, especially to the youth. It has been very common among the youth, na unapata mara nyingi inasababisha vijana wengi wanakuwa depressed. Vijana wengi wanaamua pengine hata kuacha masomo kwa sababu ya pressure inayopata kwa familia ya masuala mazima ya elimu. Unapata pia kuna pressure zingine ambazo tumeona zinatokea katika familia, na hii sana sana inasababishwa na zile tunaita chronic diseases, yale magonjwa sugu. Unapata ndani ya familia labda kuna mtu anaugua magonjwa ambayo pengine magonjwa yale tunaita magonjwa sugu, na ni magonjwa ambayo yanamlazimisha labda hawezi kufanya kazi yoyote, yanamlazimisha lazima hawe na mtu pale nyumbani. Again unapata katika familia kuna mtu ambaye huwa yeye ndo chombo cha familia, so wana expect yeye ndo take care yule mgonjwa, kumwangalia, matibabu na kila kitu. The moment anaenda against that, then we'll find that there's so much pressure toward this person from the family members, na at the end of the day inampush mtu ambao anafika katika sehemu ambayo inakuwa maybe hawezi kujimudu zaidi ya pale. So hizi tu ni baadhi ya zile ya mambo ambayo yanaweza kuwa chanzo cha cha shinikizo la ndani ya familia, but kuna mambo mengine mengi kando kando, lakini haya ndo baadhi yale ambayo yanaweza kuonekana ikiwa yamechukua nguzo kubwa sana ya mizozo mingi ama zile pressure nyingi ndani ya familia. Bwana Nuri, kama nimeweza kujibu swali lako kwako.
Thank you so much. I think now we'll revert to English because we have a guest who is struggling with Kiswahili. So for the benefit of our guest, we'll probably have to do it in English. Now, Mr. Kashi, something that I've tried to get from this conversation, depending on how you look at a situation, it's how you can determine whether this is a positive pressure or a negative pressure. Because you mentioned in the realm where we have parents who are pressuring you to get married. To them, it's positive, but to you, it could sound negative in some kind. Is that the way that we should see the family pressure, that sometimes it could be positive, that to you is positive, but to somebody else it could be negative? Mr. Kash, are you here with us?
Yes, Nuri. I lost you at some point.
All right. Like you had mentioned earlier, that pressure could be of different kind. But again, the same pressure, depending on how you look at it, it could be positive on your side, but also to the other person, it could be negative. Now, for the example that you gave, when your parents are pressuring you to get married, it's positive onto them because they know it's a good thing for you. But again, onto your side, you feel like this is negative in the fact that I have not planned for this and I'm not ready for the whole journey.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. The next question falls around our cultures and also norms as a society. And how do cultural and societal expectations contribute to family pressure?
Brother Kashi, are you speaking on mute?
Oh, sorry. I was on mute. Yeah, right. So I'm saying that partly of that question, I must have answered it in the previous presentation when I was talking about the cultural norms. Because again, we find that it's culturally, cultural norms tells us that at some point of life, one must get married. Be it a man or a woman, you have to get married. This is a pressure from the culture. It's a cultural pressure pushing you people to get married at some point of life. But if you relate it with now the real life situation, you find that probably the moment culture thinks that it's time for you to get married, maybe you're not prepared for that. So it's a pressure from our culture that you must get married vis-a-vis now your preparation. Vis-a-vis the situation you are in, you can't get married at that time. And this pressure will be mounted on you. Some cultural norms, like now, as I said earlier, that African believes that a man must provide. Whether you're working or not, you must provide. That's African culture. We believe so. So we find that you are not employed. You don't have a stable source of income, but the family expect you to provide. The family expect you to take care of your parents because, again, culturally, you will take care of your family. Your wife, your children. You take care of your parents, and you are the eldest son. Again, also take care of your siblings. That's culture. We believe so. So whether you're working or not, whether you have a stable income or not, there's that cultural pressure that because you are the eldest son or daughter, you have to take care of your siblings, you have to take care of your parents, and they don't care what you have. What type of income you're getting. So those are things that, those are some of the cultural aspect that pushes our families, into probably pressure, into some sort of conflict. You also find issues around inheritance. Culturally, we will also again find that it's believed that at some point in life, be it a male, okay, depends the type of, the type of culture that you are in, but there are those cultural people we believe that at some point of life, you as an eldest son, or the male children of a family have to get some sort of inheritance from their parents. So young people, I've seen this thing happening around young people when they reach at some point of life around 25 years around there, they start now demanding inheritance from their parents because they believe that culturally they're supposed to get an inheritance at some point of life. So they begin demanding inheritance from their fathers, and you have seen people actually killing one another. It's very common at some parts of in some parts of coast, whereby at some point you find that now the children are going against their their parents, and you have seen this one resulting to even to death. Some parents have been killed simply because they want to get inheritance. They feel like it's time for them to get inheritance. So these are some of the cultural norms that mount pressure among families in our African setup, Bonanur.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kashi. I think something that I was about to ask is how deep do this family pressure go into and also affecting our families? And you have elaborated that very well. Moving on to the next question, it's about now, let's say, what you had mentioned earlier on in terms of conflicts and how the family pressure arises. I hope you remember that part where you spoke about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. As an individual and also as a society,
Mm-hmm.
how do you communicate your needs and even creating boundaries within our family so that we don't cause this kind of conflicts where we feel like, now I'm pressured to go about this thing? How do we go about it? How do we communicate our needs and also setting boundaries to say, this is where I am. Let not my family pressure me to this end.
Yes. Let me begin by a very short story
Mm.
of a young man from Kwale. This is a young man I met, I think, back in around 2016, 2017. He's a good friend of mine. So the boy actually wasn't working. He was not working. And this boy was dating. He was dating a girl who was working. Now, during their dates, whenever this man wanted to meet his girlfriend, he could hire a van, zile makaa haya pale, anaenda anachukua 2,000, anaenda na meet them. So they'll talk, okay, he'll speak big things. So the relationships actually grew to a point that they had to get married at some point. So they got married, I think, around, should be around like 3 years ago, 3 years ago, they got married. So when they are getting married, the wife knew that my husband has a very stable job. He's working, whereby the boy was not working, but the lady was working. So 1 year later into the marriage, then the wife realized that apana, the life you are living was not what I expected. It's totally different. So what I'm trying to say is the boy had set the bar very high, very, very high. He couldn't manage. And as I speak, those guys have separated. I think they separated around last year because, again, the wife could not match, the expectation she had over this man because the boy had set the bar too high. So what I'm trying to say is for us to avoid some of these pressures, some of this pressure, the moment you realize that there's a source of pressure within a family, what you're supposed to do first is actually to manage those expectations. Be who you are. Just be real. This is me. This is who I am, and this is what I can deliver. This is what I can't deliver. So by doing so, you'll have managed expectation very well, so that going forward, you find that whoever the partner who is coming into your life knows exactly who you are, what you are able to deliver, and what you can't deliver. That's very, very key for us to manage some of this family pressure. Another thing you also need to do probably is just to get to understand, the source of this pressure within your family setup. what exactly might be triggering this pressure within the family? Is it about employment? Is it about me getting married? Is it about my poor performance? Is it about me getting, the piece of land from my father? What exactly triggers this pressure within that family? The moment you are able to understand what triggers that pressure, then it becomes easier for you now actually to even manage. Manage those conflicts that might arise within a family setup. And then another very very key issue is that to speak out. Conflicts can never be avoided. You can't avoid conflicts. In fact, we encourage conflicts within a family setup because, again, conflicts make us know each other. Conflicts make us respect one another. Conflicts make us actually know who we are. So conflicts are actually encouraged within a family setup because it's through conflicts that we are able to actually get solutions and live a very peaceful life. So for us to minimize, these conflicts within a family, we need to speak out. The moment you realize that there's a pressure, within a family setup, speak out about it. Let people know that, what they're trying to get out of you, you can't deliver that. Whatever they're expecting of you, you cannot deliver that. By speaking out, you make people understand you and they get along with you very well and they live, as per your life. But most people, especially within family setup, unapata that those people who say that sisi tunakufa kiumeume. You know exactly there's a pressure within that family towards you or towards your colleague, but unasema tunakufa kiumeume. You don't speak out. And at the end of the day, you may not speak out, but it might result to something else, like you might get into depression or even commit suicide, because when the moment this pressure is, has been mounted on you and you are unable to carry this pressure, you find out the only way to vent it out is by committing suicide. Most people have gone that, that route. So I think those are some of the few areas that we can take advantage of to manage some of the conflicts within a family setup, Nuri.
Thank you so much. I think I'm going to ask two questions that I go because they related in some kind before we invite the participants to share their opinions on our conversation today. Sometimes family pressure can become too overwhelming. Now, the question is, what are some of the coping mechanisms for individuals, how they can employ to also protect their mental well-being? As we speak of individuals, again, at a personal level, now we're talking about on that other end, how can individuals support a family member who is struggling with mental health issues that is being exacerbated by family pressure?
Okay, I think one key area, one aspect that we need also to learn about how do we mitigate this family pressure. At some point, as you are saying rightly, is that this pressure can become too much, and you find yourselves like, no, I can't take this. It's beyond me now. One thing you're supposed to do first, just remain calm. Remain calm, because again, at some point you find that those people will become overreactant. So you overreact, you become angry, and you may cause some harm. So the first aid is to remain calm. The moment you realize that there's pressure within this family, can't hold this pressure, just remain calm. Then secondly, you're supposed actually to be very willing. There's what we call that give and take. The moment we start discussing these issues, you have to compromise. There are people within the family will have to compromise their situations. They'll have to compromise their positions, their hard position. So you must be the first person willing to compromise. Getting few people to compromise at some point in the family setup, it's very difficult. So you must position yourself, prepare yourself psychologically that you are willing to compromise, whichever the situation is all about. Then again, another thing we also need to do, separate the problem from that person. I know it's very difficult. Some point, if the pressure comes from your father, you tend to hate your father. If the pressure is coming from your wife or your husband, you tend to hate that person. Separate the problem from that person. Because the moment you combine your problem, the moment you combine this pressure with the person, definitely you hate that person, and this one will lead to conflict that can't be avoided. So for us to be safe, whenever you're handling issues around family pressure, try your best to separate that problem from that person you are seeing in front of you. The person is causing that problem. Separate that person from that problem, and then you'll be safe. That person will be safe. But at some point, you find there are those pressure that you can't manage. They are beyond you. You have done what you can do, but you can't manage. For example, you're in an abusive marriage. Then you have tried all your means to rectify that marriage. It's not working. Again, quitting is also a solution. Quitting is a solution. If you find that at this point you can't manage this pressure, you can't manage this marriage, then quitting is also an option for you to be safe, for the other person to be safe. For those people, probably, as you're within a family and you have discovered that there's a member within your family who is undergoing pressure. What can you do to help this person? Because definitely this person is not helped. This person will actually get into depression. What can you do to help this person? One, you need to speak to this person. Because, by the way, when you are under pressure, the first person to realize, not even yourself, the person sitting next to you. That's why unaweza kana mtu akwambia leo nakuwa stressed. Wewe mwenyewe you don't think you're stressed up. But somebody will tell you unakaa uko stressed sana. Why? Your facial expression, your moods, the way you do your things will tell. So this means that the person sitting next to you will be the first person to realize that this person is undergoing some sort of pressure. So the moment you realize that this person around you, please talk to this person. Let this person speak out. Give this person a safe space to speak. Just build that trust around this person. Let this person speak out. And if you feel like you're not the right person to speak to this person, then find the right person within the family, within the society, within that community who can speak to this person. Let this person speak to the person trusts the most. And I know we also have counselors around. And if you feel like maybe I'm not able to speak to this person, I've tried to find maybe someone within the family to speak to this person, I can't find. Get a counselor around, let this person to speak to somebody. And that's actually one way of healing. Noor.
Thank you so much. Mr. Kashi, something that I'm taking here is that for us to mitigate and also navigate around these pressures is just to reach out and speak out differently, so that when people hear us and talk about the things that are making our heart heavy, at some point it's good to do it. So now we'll open the floor for members who are here and the participants to share what they have gathered here, and even if there are anything that they feel like has been overlooked and it is of importance that we're able to address it. The floor is open for questions and also contributions. You might do it in the wall chart, but also if you feel it's good that people hear your voice, you're welcome to do that by raising your hand, and you'll be allowed to present your information in that order. For me, I think as we wait to get hands from the rest of the team, oh, Eva is here. Please, Eva, take the stage.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Eva Nakata. I'm from Uganda. I was invited by Ben Oko, my good friend, and he's also here. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. At first, I wasn't getting much of what was being talked about, but later on, I managed to listen in. Yeah, and it was really nice. So I just have a few, I don't know what they are called. Probably they could turn into questions or experiences that I would love to share. Our guest talked about in the beginning, I think, when he talked about that family, the pressure of getting married is usually because the family wishes well for you. And it's because, they really feel it's, they wish you well. But I would really like to disagree not entirely, but of course, like I said, I'll share a bit of experience. So I personally, like, I've really lived in a family where I do have a stepmom and my biological dad. And when I happened to get pregnant in college, some years back, this thing of, oh yeah, you have to get married, it was because they wanted to push me away from home. It was never about how good they felt about you're getting married, our daughter is really getting married. But now that we went past that, I graduated, now the pressures of course still come in. Oh, marriage. But that's why I said I would like to disagree that sometimes they use some families use that to their advantage because they just want to push you away because of a situation that they feel like they cannot, maybe how is their image being seen because they are maybe prominent people in society and all that. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. And then also counselors. I am a very open person. I was born and I'm living with HIV. But of course, I'm using my experience. I'm not really referring it much to the family pressures, but I want to just touch on it so that we realize that not everything, like as we hope, we want it to happen, will happen, So we had these counselors and they would be like, tell us, do you have boyfriends? Do you have that? Do you have this? Why are you not adherent on your medication? And of course you would be open because yes, that's what we are supposed to do with counselors. Then the next thing you see, you find your story at the other block, like the fifth block of the hospital, and you are the story, you are the topic. So I would also like to disagree that not all counselors are really well trained, but I do believe that there are some who are really professional at what they do. But on my, basing on my experience, I haven't really found many that I could really rely on, and it was really hard to get, to adapt to the transition that you can really, from home you don't have anyone you can trust, but now you have to find this counselor and of course trust them with whatever, which was also really hard for me growing up as a young woman born and living with HIV. And then also I also believe, of course they talked about speaking up as one of the tools to help us, especially when you're going through all this. So I think everyone comes from different backgrounds, and there are backgrounds where it's a whole family, biological parents, biological children. There are families which are like mine, stepmother, biological father, or biological father, stepmother, real mother. And there are also families where these are children who have grown up in different, are they called foster homes, especially orphans. So I feel like how you address things matters. I've really had a time to engage with some of my friends, especially guy friends, and most of them are orphans. So I ask them, how have you really been? How has life been? In these orphanages and stuff. Of course, there are always those counselors, senior women. In Uganda, I call them senior women, like older women who you can talk to, senior men who you can be open to. But then you realize that also these orphanages or institutions that are helping in funding this child's school fees, they kind of put an attachment to certain things. If you don't do this, you won't get this. If you don't do that, you won't get this. So those, I also consider them as pressures. They might not necessarily be real family, but of course, in the moment, that is their family. So you feel like you can't do this. There is another story that I came across on social media of a gentleman who was disclosing about how he's Ugandan, though. He was talking about how he got infected. And he was with this woman. The woman was taking care of him as a young boy, giving him school fees and everything. And the best thing the dad told him is find all means to get school fees. I'm also working, to ensure that you do get school fees. So he went, and then the lady was like, oh, you have to do this. You have to do this. And that is how he gets infected. But he says, in the moment, I thought, okay, every young boy has to do this to get school fees. So there's certain pressure that I feel like we are limited because we need something. I need to go to school, so I have to do this. I need to get this job, so I have to do this. And yeah, I also wanted to ask about the solutions that you talked about. Is there a certain age group that we are talking about? Because these marriage things, I think they start from, there are certain cultures that train their children to, they groom you in that marriage kind of life. You're groomed up fit for marriage. You understand? So when should we be able to use these approaches that you've told us? Is there a certain age group? And then also, yeah, I think for now that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eva. I will give Moses time to contribute before Mr. Kashi responds to the questions, and also give feedback on what you have mentioned, Eva. Thank you so much for your contribution. Moses.
Yes, hello. Good evening.
Yes, we can hear you, Moses. Good evening.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to thank all of you. The presentation has been good. In fact, has been a learning experience free of charge. And so I have gotten I had a problem I was dealing with, but from the presentation, I just got a solution through it. I thank the team for that. And also, as Kashi mentioned, that family does not only mean the people are closely related or related by blood, but it includes friends also. So my concern was what maybe an advice, it might be not part of this session, but how do we relate with, because the family also can include you handle such pressures. Now getting that at the job where you work, there are senior people there, maybe there's some mounting pressure, both positive and negative pressures. So maybe he can give us a small presentation on that, of how to deal with pressures at workplace. That was all. Thank you.
Thank you, Moses. Back to you, Mr. Kashi, for the response.
Thank you, Nuri. I just need to appreciate Eva for the good insights, and I feel you. I think I've also seen so many people who have gone through what you have gone through, and you know that's what our society position us to. But I think I want to pick from what you have presented. I think there was a question around age group. That is some of the tactics that I've shared. Am I speaking to a specific age group, or what age group can actually, can this information be useful to? As you have said also, you have shared that the pressure might come from different levels of family. The pressure might be directed to different, age groups within a society. Can be minors, can be adults, young adults. So it depends on the type of family pressure and actually who is this pressure being directed to. Okay, what I've shared basically, my assumption is whatever I've shared can work very well with the young adults and the adults. Can work very, very well with the young adults and adults. The experience that I've shared, some of the solutions to handling or managing the family pressures. So this one actually is directed towards the young adults and those adults within a community setup. And then Moses, if I got your question right, Moses, you talked about job pressure. How do you handle job pressure? So again, within a workplace, there are different types of pressure within a workplace. It can be probably sexual harassment, which is very, very common in a workplace setup. Very, very common. It can be maybe pressuring to deliver your work. And so it depends. I don't know specifically what type of work pressure you're talking about. Is it about sexual harassment? Is it about pressure to deliver what you're supposed to deliver? Because again, I understand or I appreciate that some of us probably may the late minute people, whereby you are not able to deliver you're supposed to deliver until the last person, or until some pressure is mounted on you is when you are not able to deliver. But again, over and above, I think there's a new concept in the human resource world, and the new concept is trying to humanize the workplace. Apart from looking at your employee as an employee, you have to look at that person as a human being. So there's a new concept around the world to humanize the human resource space. And for example, you find that you're supposed to be at work and you have a sick husband or a sick wife at home. You need to take care of that person, but you are expected to be at work. Okay, the good HR will look at you as a human being, not as an employee. So the best way to actually maneuver this is making your employer understand that you are a human being, and actually trying to incorporate the concept of making the employees looking at the employees as human beings rather than looking at them as employees. But again, there's that pressure towards you delivering your work on time or in time, and at some point you might not deliver. The good way to actually handle this is to communicate. Communication is very important, very, very important. Communicate to your boss. I was expected to deliver this assignment by Monday, but actually my computer broke down. I can't deliver this. So you have to communicate early enough. Let your boss understand your position. Let your boss understand what actually is happening around you, what makes you not deliver what you're supposed to deliver. So I think communication is very key. And if we make good use of communication, I'm very sure that we'll minimize some of this pressure within our workspaces. Moses. Back to you, Nuri.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kashi. I think one of the things that I was about to ask Mohammed is to invite Mr. Ben Oko, but he's just left the meeting and is back. Just to give us a few insights on the conversation before Mohammed shares his final word as we look to wind up our conversation today. Mr. Ben, I would love to hear something from you about our conversation today.
Oh, Nuri, this has been really enlightening. Kasha is such a powerful speaker, and I really could relate to what you were speaking about. And really, thank you so much. I was driving while listening to this, and I really appreciate. I'm always looking forward to the next Tuesdays. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Anything before we let Mr. Kashi wind up?
Nuri, thank you very much. I think it's been a well-covered topic. I think when Dr. Kashi started, I was like, this guy has done his research very well, and I like the way he organizes his presentations. And I also liked Eva's, I would say, inputs. Maybe we need to think about Eva as a speaker one of these days in terms of her sharing her experiences, and also for all of us who live in situations that we feel vulnerable, but we don't know how powerful we are, because Eva is very powerful in the way that she came with her input. So I really like this session, and I hope we can get better from here. Thank you very much for everyone.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Mr. Kashi, maybe words to wrap it up for today.
Yeah, maybe just one final word I want to share with everyone of us here is that family pressure, you can be a victim of family pressure. Anyone can be a victim of family pressure. So whenever you see anyone undergoing pressure, please speak out, help that person to heal, help that person to speak out, find safe spaces for that person to speak out, because you never know. If you don't act now, that pressure may actually come back to hurt you. So we are all victims, and we need to stand for one another. I think that should mark the end of this session. And thank you so much for having me. And it'll be my pleasure also coming back anytime soon. Nuri.
Thank you so much. For me, I think I just conclude by saying that it is crucial, to recognize that family pressure is prevalent and it is a multifaceted issue. And there is no one size fits all solution for it. However, by fostering open dialogue, like Mr. Kashi had mentioned earlier before, implementing effective coping mechanism and even seeking support when needed, we can navigate family pressures with the resilience and also maintain our mental well-being. Also, just to remind everyone that you are not alone in this journey. As a member of a family, please reach out to your loved ones, friends, and also professionals if you find yourself overwhelmed. I'd urge all of us to strive to create an environment that nurtures healthy and family dynamics, where understanding and acceptance coexistence with personal growth and autonomy. Thank you so much, Mr. Kashi, for sharing your profound insights and expertise with us. And to all our participants, Eva and Moses, thank you so much for your active engagement and valuable contribution. Together, let us continue to prioritize our mental health and support one another on the path to well-being. Otherwise, from me, thank you so much for making this conversation a success. May God bless us until we meet again. You have a good night.